I couldn't even stay in my own body to deal with the pain of what he just said.
I wasn't dissatisfied in the marriage. I was dissatisfied that I couldn't live in my addiction without accountability. The revelation of I just became my dad. And the pain of that was just excruciating.
I know that's when my relationship with Jesus started because I just felt this overwhelming warmth and peace. There was everything's going to be okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Story Tour podcast. We're so excited. We're going to share stories about God doing impossible stuff. Right, Joe?
Yeah, we're excited.
Your beer's looking good.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Amen.
You're listening to the Story Tour podcast. Hey, everybody. We're so excited. It is, as of today, it is June of 2026. We haven't recorded a podcast episode in a while. And we have Joe on today, which I'm...
Yeah, it's my first podcast.
And
good to be here.
Yeah, I do. Your beard is really looking good, man.
It must be the lighting or something.
No, I mean, I am jealous of your beard because I can't grow a beard like that.
You're looking good, too.
I have the stubble. Whenever it begins to grow in, I look sick.
It's like calico.
I look like I've been... I don't... Anyway, everybody, we're so grateful that you're here today. And I'm excited. So why I'm excited today, we'll just get a few things out of the way. We have the Story Tours coming up in the fall.
Yeah.
We have a new show. We went out in the spring.
Yeah.
New stories, new music, new everything. And we actually widened the scope of the event, which telling stories about overcoming addiction, but just other things like eating disorders and suicidal ideations and just a wide variety of ways that God has set someone free. And so we're trying to reach a lot of different types of broken people. And I think it's been powerful. And
yeah, I think it's better than the first one, which is a lot to say. Because just seeing the ministry God did on the first one, this one is like that and then some.
But it was time, right? It was like 4 years.
Yeah, it was time.
It was time.
Yeah, it's fresh and there's a lot more to it.
Because we're getting tired of playing this. We play the same songs
a little
every
bit,
night, 4 years in a row. But something that is, well, I'll get to that in a second, but we have a big fall coming up. So if you're watching this, fall of 26 is coming up, somewhere between 22 and 25 events. And so you can go to thestorytour.org and check that out and see all the events that we have coming up. But something that I'm really pumped about today. So this is the first time any of you guys that have been to the Story Tour have heard the story of Ken and Shelley, that, God just did amazing things in their marriage. And so in the Story Tour, we're only able to we interviewed them probably for an hour to an hour and a half the first time, right?
Yeah.
And then we cut down this story to 4 minutes, and then it fits into a song. And so the whole thing ends up being 7 or 8 minutes. But this is the first time, the first guests from whose stories were in the first Story Tour. So 45,000 people, I know, registered to attend the events. So maybe 38,000 people heard your story because some people don't show up. But so I'm really excited that we get to share the full version of your story because there's so much more.
The uncut version.
The uncut. So anyway, welcome to Ken.
Awesome.
And Shelley. Thank you guys
Thanks
so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. It's an honor. Really.
Yeah, and so Ken and Shelley run, am I allowed to say it? CR Group?
Yeah.
CR Group at Christ Community Church. So we're in State College, Pennsylvania. It's our hometown. And church I got married in and got sober in. And so Ken and Shelley have been running the CR Group for how long? How many years?
Since 2016.
2016. So it's been 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
It's crazy, man. Yeah. So I want to say thank you for letting us use your story in the show. I mean, there's a degree of vulnerability and stuff that you got to be okay with.
Sure. But that was always kind of our prayer, was that God would use his story that he wrote for us to help others and to encourage others.
It's beautiful. I mean, I don't know how many people we heard from, but tons of people were impacted by your marriage story. I mean, every show, someone would come up to me, with, I'd say almost every show. So, people come and tell their stories to us afterwards.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are a lot of people that are coming into the story tour. Everyone's coming in because they're in a low place.
Right.
And a lot of them, the low place they're in is their marriage is blowing up, or they just don't have hope.
Right.
And I think that's what's beautiful about your story.
Mm.
I love, especially, I know you couldn't say it in the show, but you heard Chris August.
Yeah.
It was on our local radio station, right? It was WGRC. Was that it? Or?
It was actually on K-Love.
Oh, it was on K-Love.
In the K-Love
Okay.
at the time.
So we said, I remember when we recorded that, I was like, can you just say a radio station? Because I knew that we were going to be partnering with other radio stations.
Oh, okay,
And if you were
gotcha.
like,
Yeah.
K-Love, they would always be like, ugh,
Sorry.
No, K-Love's a great radio station. I mean,
Right.
At
So-
the time, I was a new Christian, so like just starting to understand like my walk with God. So that was what everybody told me to listen to was Caleb.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
And great, great programming, a lot great songs. Usually the strongest signal, I think.
Yeah.
out of
They
any
cover a
radio
lot of.
station.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously in the show we tell like an abbreviated part of your story, which alludes to like some of the struggles that you had in your marriage, but also like outside, just alludes to the alcoholism and all that stuff.
Sure.
But really, there's so much more.
Yes.
So take me back to the beginning, man. Take me back to the very beginning,
Like early.
the
Okay.
earliest thing that you think is relevant that ties in.
Okay. Yeah. So I was the youngest of four. My dad was a pastor, so I grew up in the church. We lived literally 20 feet from the church door to our front door. So,
Your dad's a pastor.
my dad's a pastor of the
Yeah.
place. So, every Wednesday, every Sunday night, every Sunday morning, every vacation Bible school, any activity, we're there. I remember a gentleman coming in who was struggling with alcohol, and I was young. I was probably maybe 9, 10. And I was curious. It sparked a curiosity, like, what is this other world that I have no access to? That's going on. I'm in the background kind of seeing, kind of just curious. It's a weird story, but next to the church was the township,
Like the borough building?
like the borough building
Yeah.
for Walker Township.
Yep.
And
So this is
there
in
was
State College?
no
Walker
down
Township?
in
Oh,
Zion, down
Zion,
at
okay.
Heckler Park, Mingoville.
Okay.
And those guys would smoke cigars, and they'd kick them out in the gravel parking lot. And as a kid, running around on my bike, I'm like,
I'm going to
pick
pick
up
that
these
up.
things up.
I did that.
And,
Heck yeah, I did that.
Gnawed on it. I don't know if I ever
Uh-huh.
lit one, but that curiosity was there for this world that.
I never knew that.
no,
I
Yeah.
learned something
knew
new
that.
today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty gross.
Well, how old are you?
I was probably
How are
10.
you now?
Oh, 56.
56. All right, you're
Yeah,
10
yeah.
years older than me. I was
Yeah.
doing that 10 years later. Throw around,
Right.
taking cigarette butts out of ashtrays.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
crazy stuff.
I'm not as
But-
weird as I thought.
Yeah. So I guess there was a little.
Just
well,
like you're weird.
maybe that just makes two.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was about 10. When I was 12, my dad decided to move to Florida to be a counselor at a boys' ranch. Boys that were delinquent or out of broken homes, and for me, it was great. We were baling hay in the orange groves in the middle of Florida, and you could pluck an orange right off the tree while you're baling hay, and it was great. For my older sister, wasn't so good because
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, like, you go from, so you grew up as a pastor's kid.
Yeah.
So, like, what is there this pressure to
Oh,
perform?
absolutely. We put way too much. We put pastors, I think, on an unrealistic pedestal, and I remember that's a good question because that's where I started learning how to put on the facade of hiding and performing.
Did you feel that pressure from, like, just other people, like, in the church, or was it, like, maybe your dad felt that pressure and then
Yes.
that was applied to you?
That was it. Dad felt the pressure, and it came down. You had to walk the line. You had to, make sure you're the example, and I was made the example
Mm.
sometimes. I remember one time Mom wasn't there in church, and I was sitting to my best friend at the time, and we were chattering while Dad's preaching, and he calls me out right in the middle of the service, like, Kenneth, where's your mom? And I'm looking around,
Like right in the middle.
right in the middle while he's preaching.
How old were?
I was probably, again, 9, 8.
You're terrified.
8. Oh, yeah. And I couldn't find Mom, and he's like, well, get up here. So I had to come up on the stage and sit on the like chair in behind him while he finished his preaching. That was it. That was all. I've learned from that there's a time to be quiet.
Yeah, you'll learn that lesson. Yeah.
But
and you got to go up.
Right.
So you're down in Florida.
Yeah. So we moved to Florida, and Dad, we were there for like a year, and we moved back to Sunbury. That's where my dad grew up, and he was going to start a church down there. And he started driving truck, started pulling modular homes.
Okay.
Different places all over the East Coast, like just delivering them back and forth.
So he's gone like multiple days at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then one day he comes in and says, I met another woman. I'm going to move to Connecticut. You can come with me or stay with your mom. And I'm like, that's not a choice.
This just happened out of the blue.
Yeah, pretty much. Blindsided Mom completely. And at that time, all my 2 older siblings didn't go to Florida with us, just my next oldest sister. And she had just gotten married, so it was just me and Mom. So Dad left, and we moved back up here. And I started attending the school that my dad started in the Heckling Union Church basement.
Oh, wow.
So I come back to that environment, familiar people, which was probably a good thing for me, to have some anchor there, in my life. So went there a number of years, and then I went into high school, and that's where I got introduced to alcohol and drugs, and I'm like, hey, this is pretty good. I can.
Do you feel like when your dad left, do you think that like altered your view of yourself, like your future, God? Like,
oh, it definitely altered my view of God, because that was my spiritual leadership and my home leadership, vanished.
Just gone.
So
like
I was kind of like, God, if this is how things work with you, I don't know if I'm interested.
Yeah, it's like you were orphaned.
Yeah, it did feel like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that there's like an internal narrative like people leave me. God is not safe.
Yeah. And with that, though, comes that safeguarding, that internalizing, like, protection.
Yeah.
So I learned how to do that pretty good and not be vulnerable.
Which are some key ingredients for the addict.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Addictive mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, getting introduced to alcohol, I'm like, wow, I don't have to carry this burden while I'm using.
Yeah.
Because it's not there. It kind of disappears.
And you felt that like in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Right. And that's where I became friends with Shelley's brother. And it was probably a couple years before we met, right? I mean, we met, but we weren't like real close.
Right.
Yeah.
We were introduced to each other by my brother through their friends.
So is this like
I'm gonna let something out of the box. I don't know if my mother-in-law knows this or not. The first day I met her brother Brian, we skipped school. That was the very first day I met him. we ditched, and actually met his mom was picking Shelley up at the middle school, and we end up walking down there, and she has, unless she watches this, she has no idea.
She has no idea.
The first day I met Brian,
you guys are doing good things.
we skipped school,
Nice.
and it wasn't the last day, but that was like the first day. Yeah,
Nice.
Started off on
See?
a good foot.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
She was like, oh, thanks.
That was when they had his broken arm. Yeah.
So, like, when you guys first meet, it's not like love at first sight, or you guys, like, you look at each other and you're like, well.
At the Center County Grange Fair is where we met.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
And my brother, he just walked in with my brother, and I was in the tent. I did think he was cute, though. I was like, oh my
I
word,
remember.
like, worried about
I
what I
remember.
looked like at the time because I was like, I didn't know anybody was going to stop by.
Sitting cross-legged on the floor with her jean jacket and poofy 80s
He
hair.
remembers.
Braces.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, braces.
Yeah.
Yes. Your teeth look great, though.
Oh, hey, thanks.
Hey, you're welcome. I had braces for like all of high school. It was terrible.
Me too. And mine shifted actually after I was from the era where they told you to wear your retainer for 6 months
Yeah,
and you'd be good. That is not the truth.
not true. Yeah, my teeth shifted too. I had a retainer. It was
Mhm.
bad. So you guys meet,
Right.
and then how does like this whole cycle of like drinking and stuff start?
Well, for me, I carried it through high school. I managed it. It was weekend stuff. It wasn't, I managed it. I got through school fine. But it was after school, kind of your friends dissipate. I was actually slated to go into the Marine Corps. Ended up getting a machinist apprentice job at a local business. And I was able to get out of my agreement to go to the Marines, but I was signed up under the buddy program with one of my best friends through school.
Okay.
So that was hard. Yeah. So Shelley, she knew I partied, and she would keep me under control for as best she could, and it's one of those things that, the more you compromise, the more the addiction gets a hold of you, and the more it becomes your lifestyle, and it just keeps escalating and escalating.
Did you feel like you had to, kind of try to control his drinking at that point?
When we were younger, I didn't try to control it as much in a way of like just telling him what to do. I just let him know I wasn't super happy about the things that he was doing all the time on the weekend. He'd always be out with his buddies. And so there was a lot of times, I was let down or whatever because I thought we were going to do something and we didn't because his friends and the party scene kind of came first sometimes. So that was more how it came out then. And I was around alcohol like growing up. So, and I have some family members who have struggled with alcohol. So it wasn't like it was new to me. So I felt like it was normal, so to speak, a little bit, that he partied on the weekends and stuff. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So were you at, Shelley, spiritually, like during this time? Like, were you a Christian? Were you a believer?
No, our family grew up not like your everyday Christian family. Like we didn't go to church every Sunday or any day, of the week. But we did believe in God because my parents grew up in church and stuff. So we did believe that there was God. So I did know that, but I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. I didn't know what that was like at all. As a matter of fact, my view then, if you would have asked me, I would have thought it was very legalistic. I would have thought like God is like a father on earth who's going to reprimand you all the time for doing something wrong or whatever, because I didn't have that knowledge at the time and I didn't have a relationship with him. But I have to say, through my childhood, and I always plug this, it matters how you invest in the kids and people around you, because I had a couple of really great women who, especially one of my best friends growing up, her mother was at the Christian Missionary Alliance in Milesburg, but she would come and pick me up and take me to the missionettes class at the Assemblies of God on Wednesday nights. Obviously, I wasn't paying attention all that much because I didn't learn a whole lot except for a little bit of the theory kind of things, but not relational at the time. But she did expose me enough to it to understand more about it. And I had an aunt who had a wonderful relationship with God, but she didn't push it on anybody. But I would see her praying every time I was at her house early in the morning, and she'd read her Bible and stuff like that. And so I had a little bit of an understanding, but I did not have a relationship of my own with Jesus or a walk with him at all.
Okay. But they were like seed planters.
They were definite seed planters.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they would grow some eventually.
They came into play later on as we share. If you want me to share that later.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're supposed to go into the Marines. You become like a machinist.
Right. Got an apprenticeship.
Just
and
go.
Yeah. And started working night shift. And there's a local bar that opened at 7 a.m. So the night shift guys would get off work and head to the bar, and many days was there till, afternoon or whatever, and
Like drinking from
drinking
like
from
what-
7 a.m. to noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, go home, crash, get some sleep. And she would come home after her job, and, I would be kind of worthless. And at the beginning of all that time, it was sporadic, but then it became kind of more. And what's really interesting is I started shooting on a pool team Tuesday nights, and I knew I had to go to work at 11 p.m. So I would kind of monitor, because I was running dangerous equipment, monitor how much I drank. But a lot of times Wednesday morning, I was like, well, I'm going to reward myself now for my good behavior.
Yeah.
So off to the bar in the morning, and that started to become a real pattern, just because that justification, like, look, I can control it,
Right.
until the next morning, and then now I don't have to control it,
Right.
and I can,
I'm
go
going.
all out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that started to become a stumbling block for me, for sure.
And where are you guys at with your relationship at this point?
Oh, we would.
You guys living together? Are you married?
Yeah, we got married in '94.
94.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it took me. We'd started dating in '88. I had just graduated, and she was just going into 11th grade.
Okay.
And
We dated when I was in high school for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Okay.
yeah, and it took me 6 years to pull the trigger, because I had commitment issues, man. I'm like,
Of course. Of
Yes.
course.
yeah,
Because your dad abandoned
right.
you.
Because I was like, man, I do not want to do what my dad did.
And so going into the relationship, you're carrying that weight.
Sure.
You're like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to be like my dad.
He
Yeah,
said
I
it all
never
the time.
addressed it.
Yeah, he said it out loud frequently. I will never be like my dad. So I thought for sure he'd never be like his dad. But it
Mm.
seems like the more you say
Mm.
something like that, the more it's enticing for Satan to come along and
Yeah.
say, oh, yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, exactly. You put that big target,
Yeah.
on you.
And there's
So you were more concerned with repeating what your father did, being
Absolutely.
than actually having it like you weren't worried that she was going to leave you, kind of thing.
No. Yeah, it was, me putting that, and with children possibly in our future at that time was even more of that, like, I can't,
Yeah.
I cannot do what happened to me. I don't want to project that
got to get it
forward.
together.
Yeah. And that's, that the white knuckles part of that comes in. And, so we got married in '94, and the drinking part just kind of escalated, but it was a little more, let me say, organized, different friend groups, married friend groups. So we would do things together as couples, but alcohol was always involved. And pretty much she did well at keeping me in check for a while.
That's when I could do that. Like
yeah.
before we had our daughter and we would go out. It was an every weekend thing to go out with friends and go to a bar and hang out. But when I was with him, then I could control it a little bit because I could see way before he could that he needed to stop. So I could say, you need to, this
If
needs
you've-
to be your last one, even though
Yeah.
I'm driving. Or
If you've ever been in a room and you're the only sober one, it's not pleasant.
It's
No.
not.
It's not a pleasant experience. But she was that more often than not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I drank too, though.
Yeah.
I did, but never to the level on a regular basis as much.
yeah, so I was the binge drinking alcoholic. Like the party is never going to stop until you're either out of booze or I'm blacked out. And that's was just the MO. That was just why else drink.
Yeah, I feel like, that's something I can relate to with my story is like, I'm never going to have a beer. Like if I'm drinking, I'm drinking to get smashed.
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And don't give me a beer because I'll just get mad if there's not another one,
Yeah. Sure. And that's for me, it's the first beer that's the end of it.
Right.
Because it's it's not the first one.
Been decided.
It's yeah, right. And then your brain, it starts getting affected and it goes numb and you can't reason anymore. And next thing you know, you're doing stuff that you never thought you'd do. And
Yep.
yeah.
So you're like binging now at this point in your relationship.
Yeah. And I was like, this is getting old. We're 7 years into our marriage.
And no kids yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
And, we've had the conversation, trying to pull away a little bit from the lifestyle of going out every weekend.
I was suggesting that.
Yeah.
I put my foot
Strongly.
down and said, one night on the weekend is just for us. We're going to go on dates. And then the other night on the weekend, we can go out and
Which is
party.
very reasonable, Shouldn't have any issues with that. But then, I'm thinking, all right, when we're trying to have a child and it took a little while, but Shelley got pregnant and I was like, all right, this is the catalyst this will be the determining factor that'll, I can really man up and
It's going to change
leave
it all.
this. Yeah, it's going to change it all.
Yeah.
And it did, but in a way that just anchored Shelley at home and I'm free to go. Not free to go, but that's what I did.
Yeah.
And ended up, starting to hang out with not the couples group that we had, but other people who drank like I wanted to. And that just really
It's like
started.
the guardrails came
Yes, yeah.
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 Mhm.
Yeah.
In a
Had
big
no,
way.
right. So then it started getting to the point where, out overnight, affecting my job, crossing boundaries in our marriage, that the things that I swore I wouldn't do somehow seemed acceptable, which is just so deceiving, when you're living that
So what boundaries?
marriage, infidelity.
Infidelity.
Yeah.
And did Shelley know? Did she know?
No,
Okay.
didn't have any idea. And, it's like that you make justifications to do what you think you want to do, but the whole time what you're doing is hurting you and the other people around you, but you still justify it.
Mm.
And you justify it by, how I justified it was I put myself around people who I perceived had a worse life than I did.
Right.
And I'm
You're the
like,
functional guy now.
yeah, I'm the guy, look at me. That whole it's just a deceitful,
I get it, man. Everyone else
twisted
is stage
circle.
4. I'm only stage 3, man.
Yeah, right. I got a long way to go
Yeah.
until I'm like that guy. And,
Yeah.
and then, you end up being that guy. You end up being the guy that's setting shots up at last call and saying, what am I even doing here? But that went on for several years.
So, like, Shelley,
Yeah.
what's your, as you see Ken kind of unraveling, like, what's your experience? What's this like for you? Are you having internal conversations with yourself? Are you starting
Yeah.
to pray more? Are you feeling like hopeless?
No, I still wasn't turning to God about it per se. I am now helping to lead Celebrate Recovery. I know that I am codependent in a big
Mm.
way. And I have a little bit of control issues. So I was trying to fix him. So all the time it was like, I got this, I can convince him, I can tell him, all the reasons why he shouldn't be doing this. And so we'd always have these heart-to-heart talks every time he'd go out. And I have to tell you, he's worried me so many different times. Like being that other person, like when he'd say, I'm going to go out tonight, but I promise I'll be home by 2. I promise I'll be home by 2. 2 comes. 3 comes.
Mm.
No cell phones early on in this. So it was like, I can't even call him. So I knew some of the bars that he would go to. So sometimes I ended up even calling bars to be like, is he there? Do I need to come down and get him and drive him home? Like, what's the situation? Because like it was happening so often. And so I thought I could fix him. I totally did think I could fix you. But every time we'd have that heart to heart and he'd say, yeah, I know, I don't want to live like this anymore. He'd just, the next weekend, he'd do it again. Or he might go a weekend or 2. And I'd be like, yes, I'm fixing him. And then it would happen again, like the next week.
Sure. That's where that whole, I got it now. I've gone 2 weeks
Right.
After 20 years, I've gone 2 weeks sober. I got it kicked.
Yeah.
I can control it.
And that really is the reality of like, if you're an AA, you call this a disease, or if you're, there's a lot of, you can call this a lot of different things, but like the sick part of it is like, it's upstairs. Like, we think we can control this, and we don't, but we can't see it clearly for what it is.
Right.
Like, we deceive ourselves. Like, you know what I mean? And we're convinced, hook, line, and sinker.
Oh yeah.
Well, even as a codependent, I was like, I hid just as much as he did.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I just thought, nobody needs to know all this. We've got this and stuff. And it was a denial for me in a big way, even though I was living it like all the time.
Do you feel like you were addicted to like having to have, like, on the outside it has to
Almost? Yeah. I mean, because I was doing a pretty good job. Because a lot of people had no clue it was as bad as it was. But the biggest and most difficult part that was really waking me up to it was because our daughter kept getting a little older and a little older. I'm like, oh my, like, she's really seeing what's going on here, because he would come home and sleep till, like, on a Sunday till like 3 p.m, 4, like, it would be all day. And our daughter would be like, what's wrong with Daddy? Why is Daddy sleeping all the time? Is he sick? Like, and so I had to keep saying, yeah, Daddy's not feeling good today. So I was lying to her all the time to try to cover up for him. And I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, but I didn't want her to have a bad view of her dad either, though. So I didn't want to out him.
Which I fell right into, because growing up with that, trying to hide and make the persona look good on the outside, and that was my comfort zone, of doing that, and we did that well. We really did. Yeah.
We were only fooling ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think any addict with
Absolutely.
any addiction is like, it is being vulnerable, like being openly, like, intimate. When I use that word, obviously it has a lot of weight tied to it, but just like wearing your inside on your outside, it's the hardest thing to do, man. Especially when, like, I was a chameleon. Like, I always wanted to control the narrative of what other people thought of me. So just the lies
and the acceptance.
and the acceptance, man, because that was like an addiction too.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's one of the hardest things as a drug addict.
It is, but
as an alcoholic.
But looking back on being, celebrating recovery
Seems silly.
Well, it's that's where all the pain is.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to protect this illusion.
Yeah.
And once you're willing to let God work that, open that up, shine his light into that space.
Yeah.
That's where freedom's at.
Yeah.
That's where healing's at.
Sunshine is disinfecting.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of other things tied to that. Like, I mean, when you're 10 and your dad takes off, fragments your family, there's a lot of you're developing, your brain's developing. Yeah. And so I feel like there is, I can personally relate to that. Like, my dad took off when I was 8. Not the same exact way, but it was like I lived with him 1 minute, and then the next minute he was gone, and I was living with my mom. So there's, you were talking about protecting yourself, you guys hear the piano in the background. Mm-hmm. We'll take care of that.
That's cool.
But we're high dollar here, and we're in a mall that's basically falling apart. But they just put a nice big casino in it, so maybe it'll have a few more years.
It was the trumpet, man.
But
it's a good thing.
Super cheap space, but we have a piano store next door. It's a great thing for a podcast studio. But there is that hiding feels good to someone who's, I don't know. I mean, there is this element of you that
it's comfortable.
It's comfortable.
And it's safe. You know what to expect.
That's it.
And
because other people hurt me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a control thing.
Yeah.
Even though it's dysfunction at its highest level.
Yeah.
It's still familiar.
Yeah.
And you kind of know what to expect
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah.
And that's okay because that's just what I do now.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
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 So so this is where you're at. Like your daughter she's getting older.
Mhm.
She's seeing like maybe starting to perceive some of the cycle, like daddy's sleeping until like 3 or 4 o'clock
Right.
in the afternoon on a Sunday. So then like where does this kind of take you guys? Like,
Well, it takes us to 2010, where, interestingly enough, Shelley has shared that she was contemplating like separating.
I didn't think I could deal with it anymore. But I have to preface, we're pointing out all these negative things, but honestly, like other than the alcohol, our relationship was really awesome.
That's
like we had
right.
great time together, lots in common. We'd have fun when we hung out together. So, there was a reason I stayed vested, okay? So it wasn't just like all that.
Right.
But
That's a good point.
so there was good. There was lots of good, but there was lots of bad
Yeah.
with the addiction. But for me, I was like, there were moments where I was like, I don't even know if I can keep doing this, but I didn't want to be that person who left, or separated our family and stuff. So I was just dealing with it like internally. But then he
Yeah.
was dealing with things internally as well. And it led to other things. So,
Right. Yeah. So 2010, I had an affair, and I was like, all right, I'm sure you've heard it before. If I change my circumstances, everything will be fixed, and as we all know, that does not.
you take yourself.
It does not. You take yourself right with
Yeah.
you, right? So I blindsided Shelley one night. Came home. She came home, and I was like, I'm leaving. And I was hardened. My heart was hardened because I had done these things. I had crossed these boundaries, and I just had the barrier up. There was nobody that's going to convict me that this is not what I want to, stop me what I want to do. No one's going to stop me to do it. And I said, I just blindsided her and completely out of the blue.
yeah, there was no talk ever about any kind of separation or unhappiness to that level. And we talked a lot. So I came home from aerobics and he came out and met me at the car and said, I need to talk to you. And I said, okay. And in my mind, I really did think he was coming out to say, get some milk, don't get out of your car yet. You have to run to the store. But he got in and he proceeded to say that. He's like, I don't love you anymore. I don't want to be married anymore. And I had an out of body experience during that moment because first of all, I had been thinking about stuff like that myself slightly, and I thought, well, if someone's going to leave, it would have been me, not you. But anyway, I did have just a moment where it's like I couldn't even stay in my own body to deal with the pain of what he just said. Because at that point, we were almost married 15 years and dated 6 years before that. And he said he'd never do anything like this. So it was like, I really did. Like, I felt like I could see myself floating above the car, seeing both of us sitting there. And it was like I left for a moment. And I know he said other things, but I did not hear any of it really because I was like in total shock. And I think he even said, like, aren't you going to say more? Aren't you going to? But I couldn't even talk because I was so broken at that moment. I could not believe that even just happened. So yeah, that was
And you're
one of the most horrific times in my life for sure.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you have been together for 21 years at that point.
Yeah.
And, like, Ken, you're not, like, so basically at this point, like, you become your father.
Right.
Like, almost exactly. Like, because you have a child.
Yeah.
And so, but you're, like, you felt, like, calloused.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you didn't.
Well, I was trying to get her, and this goes on for a number of years, trying to get her to respond in anger towards me because I needed a way to justify what I was doing. So I tell her this, and I pull out, and I leave, and I don't even get, 200 feet down the road, and I just wail and bawl. And I looking back at that, I think that was the Holy Spirit trying to bring in some conviction, because the revelation of I just became my dad, and the pain of that was just excruciating. But I was bound and determined to just plow through any conviction that might have been there, and just go after what I wanted. And I didn't care.
And Shelley, so you're like, Ken leaves, and you're staying there in the parking lot. And first of all, thank you for being so open. This, because this is someone's living this right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, like, what are you thinking? Like, Ken's left. You're.
I had to keep it together for a little while because our daughter, he had told our daughter that he was leaving before he came out and told me. So she was ready, like, sort of inside, like she knew. And then you went back in and talked to her some more. And then he left, but I ended up, having to kind of pick up the pieces with her that night. So I tried to keep it together because I didn't want to lose it in front of her, because she was sad and not like.
What's she
she's
saying,
wondering
or
what's
what
going
are the
on.
questions that she's asked?
She asked me why Daddy doesn't love you anymore, because he told her that. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I didn't have answers for her. I was honest, but I didn't go into a lot of detail because I didn't want her to have any burden from it. So I put her to bed. And after I put her to bed and she finally got to sleep, that is when I lost it. I mean, that's the moment where I really did. And he called two of my best friends and told them, you need to go over and see Shelley tonight because she's going to need you. And I did. And they came, and I just, wept and talked with them. But I was still in shock. And they were both shocked that I was still behaving the way I was. Like, if you'd asked them, they were like, I don't know that she's going to be okay, because I was not able to really show as much emotion, I think, as what you should, because I was still in shock. So when they left and I had my alone time is when I really let go. And I was just so devastated and, just crying so much. And at that time is when I knew to cry out to God. It was like, God, like, what's going on? And at that point, I'd never really looked at him and talked to him like that. And that's when it was like, I know that's when my relationship with Jesus started, because I just felt this overwhelming, like, warmth and peace. There was like, everything's going to be okay? And I felt inside, like he said, I'm going to bring everything around full circle. That's the word I heard, was full circle. So I was like, I don't know what that means exactly, but I'll take that for a moment right now. So I knew immediately I had to pursue my relationship with Jesus and dig in more and learn more. And when I shared that with Kenny's oldest sister, she was like, yes, you come to Bible study with us. She bought me my first Bible and wrote a message in it and stuff. And I started my walk with Jesus. And honestly, it took the worst day of my life to make it be the best day of my life, because I would never want my life the way it was without Jesus again.
Yeah. I think this is a powerful thing right here. Like, I was talking to Joe, we were talking about this beforehand. Like, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, Jesus, your greatest need is, like, Jesus is not put off by meeting you in your greatest need. He is a giver. Yeah. None of the people that came to hear him talk or followed his ministry usually just showed up. They came because they needed a miracle. They were at their end. Jesus, my daughter's dying, or a guy's coming down through a mat in the ceiling. These are desperate people. Or Jesus, I'm blind. Like, a lot of times that is the doorway to experiencing his kindness in our life. And so I just want to say that if you are if you are in a place of great need, Jesus loves to meet us in that place. And so I just think that's beautiful that's where, and it encourages me, because, there's just, even like when we don't deserve it, if we've been living, we never do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just never do. So like,
Yeah.
no one is disqualified from the goodness and the kindness of God. Like usually when he's meeting our needs, like we don't have anything to offer. We're like, God, I've screwed this thing up.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? For me, I mean, in that was my greatest need, and he's shown up over and over again. So it's just beautiful that's where it started. And so you are, I think the other thing I picked up on was like, what it's still a loving act to call, like you were still trying to take care of Shelley.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Which when she said that, I was like, oh, dang. Like,
I think it was less about, I wasn't dissatisfied in the marriage. I was dissatisfied that I couldn't live in my addiction without accountability. And that's what I wanted. And that's what happened. And that's, I got a little apartment within walking distance of all the clubs so that I didn't have to worry about driving. And, for the next number of years, that's how I lived. And only by God's grace did I survive.
and so like, what's your relationship then now? Because like you stay involved in your daughter's life,
Yeah.
and then you and Shelley obviously have to intersect. So what's going on?
In June, we went to
To marriage counseling in Houston, Texas.
Oh wow.
So I am not interested, but this was probably a year, maybe not quite.
it was 2010. Same year.
Oh, was it?
It was
Okay.
June.
And
3 days.
she's starting to develop this relationship. And by the way, the church that she started going to was my dad's church.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because
Wow.
my sister was very active still in that church, and that's where
I took
she
Kendra.
that's where
For
she
the
started
first
going.
year after he left, we went to his dad's
Kendra,
church.
your daughter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
So-
so and you were open to going to marriage counseling together.
I was
Yeah, not in the beginning.
So when she started having this relationship with Jesus, she became Jesus to me because she wouldn't get angry, she wouldn't get bitter,
That's
and I
powerful.
needed all
That's
this
powerful
stuff.
what you just said.
Yeah.
She was the only Jesus that
Yeah,
she was the Jesus in your life.
yeah, because I needed her to be angry. I needed her to be bitter. If anybody could, take me through the ringer, and most of her friends were encouraging her to do that, she wouldn't do it. And I'm like, this is more frustrating because I couldn't justify anything I was doing, not with the other women and not with the lifestyle I was living. I needed a way to justify it, and I needed it to come from her. So when this marriage counseling thing came up, I was not in a good space mentally to benefit from it for our marriage. My thought going in was if we go to this and it fails, then she'll see that this isn't going to work. So we went, and it was good.
Really good. I would highly recommend it to anybody in a last resort space in their marriage or any point in their marriage. But his heart was way too
I was still
hard at the time. But it was really good stuff. And one of the things, though, that he makes it sound like it's all me, but it's God, like in my life, helping me. He helped me to not personalize everything as much as you normally would in the whole situation. Yeah, I'm not a saint. I had a lot of moments where I got angry, and I got angry with God, and I was just angry in general, but for the most part, he kept letting me see Kenny in a way that's like, he's broken. It's not you. It's him, and he's working on him. It's hard to explain, but I kind of,
Wow.
because some people were like, how could you, and then I would be joyful, at work and stuff like that. I had my moments. I had down moments, but I had moments of joy, and the joy came from the Lord, not me, because I don't know how I could be at that time. And I would have people ask me that, like, how can you be so upbeat? This is all happening. And it would give me the opportunity sometimes to share my story with somebody. And I did do that with a girl I work with. And she actually ended up having, a year later after I shared what happened with me, happened to her. And so she knew to come to me right away at work, and we would form this bond and friendship that we would, we still share it today. And she went through Celebrate Recovery with me too.
Wow.
I think one of the main scripture verses that a lot of us forget is that we don't fight flesh and blood, but the principalities and spirits in the unseen world. When it comes to marriages, man, if you can look at your spouse as not the enemy, is not the enemy. They are flawed, sinners, fallen, need of salvation, like we all are, and that's, she grew in that knowledge real early on in this, and God gave that to her.
That was a real grace that God gave you.
Yeah.
He did.
Because it's almost supernatural.
Yeah.
It's totally
it is.
supernatural.
Yeah.
People would ask me about it, like on the regular, family and friends and
Because
stuff.
the opportunity to be bitter,
Yes.
like just with everything that you're feeling.
Yes.
But instead, like by the the grace of God in you is now Kenny is like, you're looking back. I'm calling you Kenny. I don't know why I do that.
That's
I
okay.
call him Kenny.
All right.
Yeah, she does.
Okay. But you're looking back and you're like, she was the only Jesus that I knew at that time.
Right.
Not even giving you a reason to justify this being separate.
Yeah, I had she took away all my excuses. Yeah. And of all the people who should be, it was her, and she wasn't. So that kind of blew my mind a little bit.
Did you find that, like, so when Ken is like, when you guys are separated, did you find, was there a part of you that found it was easier to be a parent? And like, because the turbulence of the alcohol cycle is like gone, or was it not?
Other than Sundays, like when he would binge drink, he was a really
He was
great,
a functional,
very functional,
Okay.
wonderful father who
Okay.
was always in the picture, and he and Kendra were always close, and so
Okay.
it actually was opposite. I felt horrible that she had to be experiencing the separation of her family, and the hard part is, and we learned this through counseling, if you are the parent who didn't leave, oftentimes your child will take out everything on you because you're the rock. You're the person who didn't say they don't love you anymore. You're the person who didn't go.
You're the safe space.
You're the safe space. And so we went through a very difficult time where she was just taking all of her anger and frustration out on me. And that was really hard. But I understood it, especially through the counseling that we were getting, because her and I both were going to counseling.
And I didn't see that side because she did everything to appease me, because I was the one who left. So if she were to misbehave, Dad might leave me too.
Mhm.
So it gets deep into the psychology, especially of how kids navigate a really impossible situation that they didn't ask to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and that we found that out through counseling, that she told her counselor that she learned unconditional love is not always unconditional, because she always knew her dad to love me, but then Dad decided not to love you now, but he's always told me he loves me. But can I actually believe that? Because he stopped loving you.
Oh, wow.
So that was a whole thing, that happened too in the underlying aftermath of everything.
So how long? So
Well,
tell me what's happening.
We were still co-parenting, and every Sunday we would do things as a family.
She asked us to.
Yeah.
So at first it was not like that. And then Kendra said, we split our time with her. So she would be with me on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday nights and Sundays. And then you with on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
And on Sundays, she said, can we just do something together as a family? Like just go bowling or like go to the park or whatever. And I was like, I'll ask your dad. I asked him and he was like, sure, let's do it. So every Sunday for 3 years, like 2.5
Yeah.
years,
Right.
we went and did something as a family every single Sunday, which it was actually better family-wise then on Sundays than ever when you would go out partying
Yeah.
and not be able to wake up, during the daytime. So that was a plus. So we did that, and she also tried very hard. Like she was learning. She was just beginning a relationship with Jesus at 7 years old, and she was so open to everything and learning so much, like in church and stuff. And so she prayed all the time for her dad to come back for our family to be reunited. She would say, for us to get back together. She'd say, I want my mommy and daddy to get back together again. Almost every night that she prayed for years. She
And
never stopped it.
Was she praying this in front of you?
Well, the nights I would have her, she would pray that.
And so what's that?
And I'm like, oh, dude, it's like, a hot poker right through the heart. When you hear your daughter asking God to bring mommy and daddy back together is like, and I'm the one that's keeping, well, I don't know. We kind of stopped talking about our relationship and we were just co-parenting. So that, addiction and sinful choices have a way of convincing you that this is how it's going to be. You've made your bed. There's no going back. There's no redemption from this, so I'm kind of in that mindset, not really thinking that, I did these irredeemable things. There's no going back. And to have her, I can't stop her and say, yeah, hon, that's not going to happen. I never had that kind of thought to do that. But for like 2.5 years, man, every night that I would have her 3 times a week, I heard that. God, please bring mom and dad back together. And it's just like, it stings. I can remember what that felt like. Conviction was creeping in over a period of time. But she did that, for a long time.
To do that.
Yeah, she really did. We don't necessarily give our children or our youth space to be spiritual, but I think God uses our little ones in mighty ways.
And she was probably believing.
Oh,
Yeah,
she was.
I mean, just like,
absolutely.
well, if God can do anything,
That's
Mhm.
right.
I'm going to ask him.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
absolutely.
she totally did.
Sure. What's the biggest prayer? We quit
Right.
praying big prayers.
Right. As adults, we do that.
Yeah.
We put limits on it. Kids
Right.
don't. They just pray the
Yeah.
dream.
I mean, I'm praying.
Dream.
I'm praying to the God who's parted the seas. He can do that. He can do this little
No
thing
problem.
over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal.
Mhm.
So what begins to how long are you guys in this in this pattern being separated, and then what begins to soften? I mean, obviously the prayers of Kendra, like you start to feel again.
Right.
That.
So 2012. So this is 2 years. I'm living with another woman, and it's very toxic. But somebody, to engage in my lifestyle of drinking and
And you're
very,
still
very
drinking.
similar.
And all that.
Oh yeah. Yep. We ended up getting into a big blow-up fight, and I end up at a friend's house. This is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the morning, and we're a whole bunch of us leaving the bars, going to have a campfire, getting, drinking who knows what, tequila, I think, and smoking weed. And I decide that I'm going to walk home. And I made it like 2 blocks, and I thought I was home, and I wasn't home. So I walk up to this door, and its screen door's locked, and I pop it open and walk in, and I'm like, I'm going to pass out. I knew I was getting there. I just wanted to lay down, and I walked into a stranger's house in the middle of the night in the summer that he had his door open. And by God's intervention, this gentleman was in his living room where I was going to crash on his couch. And he starts like pushing me and fighting me out the door. And I was not aware of what really was going on, other than, all right, I don't belong here. So I backed out and started walking down the street. I walked like 15 feet and sat down in the grass and passed out.
Mm.
And rightly so, he calls the police, and I end up getting hauled off to jail. Not fully aware of why I'm in the back of a cop car. Why am I, sitting in front of the video judge at
District magistrate.
4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like,
What am I doing here?
what is happening? I don't even know why I'm here. But you think a lot. You don't have a lot to do in jail, but kind of ponder life choices.
Oh, do I know?
Denial is not a thing
Yep.
behind bars. So you would have thought my thoughts were, I need to turn to the Lord. I can't stop doing these things, and all this chaos keeps coming. I mean, during those couple of years was, well, actually, if you want to share about what you prayed with Rose,
Oh yeah,
because that's when things went.
This is
Bananas.
Rose.
Yeah, Rose,
Yeah.
like Pastor Rose from Christ Community Church.
We know.
I'll give
We
that
know.
a plug.
We know she- They don't know.
Oh
We
yeah,
know.
that's right.
Yeah.
Pastor Rose is awesome. But anyway, when we were separated, I actually got pretty much like weekly prayer from Pastor Rose. And one time I was praying with her and I was saying a lot of I statements, like I could do this, or maybe I should, and I should. And she just stopped me dead in my tracks and she said, Shelley, do you really think God needs you to do anything? Does he need you to do anything to save Kenny? That was like, when you put it like that, probably not. Like, I think he could do it on his own. And she said, you need to give him over. You need to just stop, like, praying for protection. You need to say, God, he's yours to do with whatever you want, and trust that he knows what's best. And I did this, like, exercise where you hand him over to Jesus. And I did it several times until I actually did it. But sometimes I would take him back and have to pray again and give him back over to Jesus. But I pretty much just left him in his hands and said, he's yours. I'm not going to pray for safety. I'm not going to pray for I just want you to do what you need to do with him and just let it be.
Yeah. So
And then
she
his
does that in
world kind of
2012,
crazy.
summer 2012, and that's where my world blew up. I ended up late after leaving a bar. A guy blindsides me. That I don't know if you remember the little fad of somebody, like knocking somebody on the side of the head and watching them pass out immediately and falling flat in their face.
Mm-mm.
No,
This is like a
that was a video thing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Social
So,
media.
yeah.
Okay.
So that was me, face down in the parking lot. Trip to the hospital, completely drunk. That was one trip to the hospital. I jumped off a bank. I knew it was high, but I didn't think it was that high because I was high. And when I landed, I didn't stick the landing and ended up on my shoulder, broke my collarbone. So another trip to the hospital. And then the incident with walking into the gentleman's house, getting arrested. So all of that happened. I found out later, post her just finally letting go of me and letting God work. And God will, he'll honor your decisions.
Oh, yeah. He
He
uses consequences.
Sure. There's consequences. And I was experiencing the consequences of my decisions.
I think, yeah. So that is just as much the grace of God as anything,
Yes.
right?
Oh, man.
Like, I mean, the best thing that ever happened to me was my bottom places. But when I was listening to you share, Shelley, like, I heard when you're doing that exercise, you're turning this over.
Yeah.
You were doing the first step. And I feel like the addiction for, like, sometimes for people that are married to or to alcoholics is, I'm going to control this thing.
Yep.
And the addiction for the alcoholic is I can control this thing. But that first step is we admitted we were powerless. That's like the doorway. I don't have any power. But I think about how hard that must have been if you are like codependent. You said you said I had control issues.
Control issues and codependent. So
Yeah.
that was a hard exercise, harder than most people think.
Yeah. And the parallels with like drug addiction and alcoholism is like sometimes you're turning it over 100 times a day. You know what I mean? It's not just like you turn it over one time because like you can take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Willingly.
yeah, so you're hitting bottom. You're hitting some bottoms here.
You'd think so.
You're hitting some bottoms. Yep.
You think jail would be the wake up call that you would expect it to be. State sponsored. I got put on probation. State sponsored sobriety isn't sobriety. It's just rules that you have to get through. So went through the year. I was intelligent enough to not test the boundaries during that time period. So we're just still co-parenting, and we weren't really talking about our marriage even through that period of time. Then I get off probation, July 2013, and within 2 weeks, I am closing down the bars, setting up the shots, blacking out, drinking on the way home. And one night I couldn't walk up the steps. I was crawling up the steps, and I wouldn't say an epiphany. It was just an experience of laughing. I heard demonic laughing because I couldn't get myself up. And I was like, the next morning, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should get some help. After all these stuff, it might be a good idea, to try to have somebody to talk to or whatever. That was where I really started feeling like I can't control this. Like I felt like I could control it because for a year I didn't engage, but that farce of control was there.
Did you know when you heard? Did you think, wow, this is demonic?
Yeah, I did. Because
you grew up.
I knew the spiritual warfare side of things. I just run from it. I say a lot of times in the group, it was like I was on this treadmill running and God's standing there just waiting for me to get tired and to stop running. And I was starting to get tired. The lifestyle drains on you. And you look back and you're like, wow, God, that was your hand, because there's so many times I could have stopped breathing. I had enough alcohol in me, that could have been it.
Even when we were married, that happened several times.
Where he would stop breathing.
Oh, like where I was scared. One time I had to call my dad because I was like, I don't know what's going on, because he was convulsing. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what I should do. And my dad was like, turn him on his side. Yep. And he was telling me all this stuff to do. And it was just frightening. But he didn't know, because he's passed out.
Yeah, and you have that attitude, as I did, as the addict. Like, what's the big deal? Mm-hmm. It's only hurting me. It shouldn't really bother you.
It's amazing how God is still protecting us in these moments. Yeah, because I feel like He knew that you were going to be His. Yeah, like no matter what you believe about predestination or all that stuff, right. Like God is outside of time.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And like if you believe that, whatever predestination looks like, but He knew you would choose Him if He could see the end.
And to just shout out to parents and grandparents out there. I had praying. My mom was, after all she went through, she was the spiritual rock. She prayed for us. She was never bitter towards Dad. She was always there for us. Even she knew. Moms know stuff. She knew what I was doing.
Moms know stuff. That's a bumper sticker. Moms know stuff.
But she never condemned me. And she was always, always open-armed and just, she would ask and she would invite me to church and, come on, Kenny, God loves you. I love you. But she was never overbearing about it. And I appreciated that.
You had two Jesuses in you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Getting surrounded now.
Yeah, right.
You had your grandmother alive who was praying for you too.
Yes. So one part of the story, It was in 2012 too. A lot happened in 2012. My niece's husband passed very unexpectedly. He was actually building a addition on their house for their expected child. His heart stopped. He was 40 years old. So I end up going to we're separated, but obviously go to the wedding.
To the funeral.
Or the wedding. Yeah, the funeral.
Sometimes the
sorry.
same thing.
and and my niece stops me. She just lost her husband. Stops me and says, "Kenny, life's so short. Don't keep running." That's all she said. And man, that hit, because I'm going there to console her, and she's reaching out to me during that. So God uses people. Just, you never know what people are going through, where they're at. That's the one key. You never know where people are at in their spiritual walk, what God has prepped them for your encounter. And, just be willing to share that word of encouragement, or just, something that can change people's lives. You don't
It's
know.
amazing that there's that scripture says, we comfort others with the comfort we've received.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, she was still in her pain,
Oh, yeah.
but like her pain qualified her in some way to speak a word to you that was, it was more than surface level. It's going to go in.
Yes. I think that can be received like nobody else could have at that moment.
Yep.
I get off probation. I'm like, I can't sustain this. I got to do something. And Shelley really didn't know much, what was going on on that side of things. Cause like I said, we were just co-parenting at that time. And apparently I send a text.
Well, no, there's a whole other story behind
Okay.
that.
All right. Go.
Tell us.
Okay. So I can't see anything changing in him, like absolutely nothing on the outside. And I'm like, even after all this stuff.
That's going to be hard.
Yeah. And so all along, I never forgot like what God said about bringing everything around full circle. Still didn't know what that meant. So I was driving on my way to work, still listening to K-Love. Sorry, I had to give that another plug.
Oh, you're fine. We don't mind.
Yeah, but but listening to K-Love, and I said, I had a moment like where I was crying and I was mad at God, and I was like, you told me, and I believed you. You're like, and I was like actually like yelling at him, and he didn't mind. And I was like, I need you to show me like that I'm on the right path, that I heard you right, that this is still something that you're working on and that you want. Instantly, the song Restore by Chris August, and I don't know if y'all have ever heard this song.
Oh, yeah. That song was big.
It was huge, but not then.
Right.
It had been out like a couple of years, so it wasn't on like constant repeat. So I knew it was for me because it was just a random playing of the song. And the whole message was that God can save a marriage if Jesus is in the middle. And I was like, wow, okay. Like it's all about a couple who's separated. They've been apart for a little bit and Jesus brings them back together. And I was like, all right, God, I'm listening. You were hearing me because he gave me songs different times throughout our separation. And there's so many different things that he did for me and my daughters that was unreal. But when after that song played, I went into work and I kept having this like, you need to play this song for Kenny. And I'm like, no, like that is silly. Like I am not playing. If you want him to hear this song, you're going to play it because you're God. You can play it for him. This is the stuff I was telling him. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I went at least like 24 hours of like, nope, nope. Or, like that whole night until like the next morning or whatever. But that night, Kendra always, every night when she was with him or me, she put one of us on the phone. Always. We had to talk about something.
She'd say, mom wants to talk to you. And we get on the phone and be like, yeah, what's up?
And
Nothing.
We got used to it. We were just like, yeah, okay, all right, good night. Because like she just always wanted to do that. She thought she was playing matchmaker.
She was a matchmaker.
Still.
is
Yeah,
what she
for
was
sure.
doing. I'm
I
gonna
guess it
pray. I'm
worked.
gonna
And it did, yeah. So I was like, okay. So that night, I didn't act any different than I ever do on those phone calls. But then he texts me, it was like 6 a.m. before he's heading into work, and says, is everything okay with you? Do you need to talk? And I was like, what? Like, why? Why did you send me that message? And why did you even think I want to talk? But I was telling God, you need to give me a window, a reason, a something, because like I'm not just doing this. And then he sends me this message and he doesn't even remember sending the message, like typing it. But I had the message. And so I was like, yes, okay, all right. I do need to talk. So I told him, let's meet, let's talk. And I didn't tell him what it was about. So we said we were going to meet at Talleyrand Park on the bench under the gazebo. And the next day was Sunday. So I had that message at like a Friday at work, and we met on Sunday. So, I mean, it took me a little bit. I was stubborn. I wasn't always listening to Jesus. Okay, so I'm not a saint, just so everybody.
Well, I think that's encouraging too, because like it's encouraging to, like, even when we're resistant or even when we're confused, like, because you were like, God, did I really hear you?
Yeah.
Like that he will get it. It's really easy for me to focus on my ability to miss God,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
but he has the ability to not miss me.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And I feel like that's what I hear you saying. It's like, so he worked. He was working.
He was working. He was definitely working.
Yeah.
So,
And I was feeling very defeated because I had just got off probation. I'm back to where I was. Nothing has changed in my life. My future looks the same as it did before I went to jail. I'm like, I don't know how to change. But I think there was a seed planted to believe that if there was ever an opportunity, I'm looking back. I mean, things were a little foggy in that time period, but looking back, I think I can remember consciously thinking that if there's an opportunity for us, then that would be the best option. I mean, that would be the way to go. But I never pursued anything, and that was all happening at the very same time. There was just between like July 13th to August 11th, a lot of stuff like this took place. So it was really, God was like, all right, here we go. Now's the time. I'm going to put all the pieces that I've been working on are coming together,
So you're like, you're
orchestrating.
probably, because of what you said earlier, you're like, you've made your choices. And like, a lot of times we think, well, this is just the bed I'm going to be sleeping in forever.
Yeah.
Like, it speaks to us. And Shelley, you're like, God, you're going to have to open this door. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a mountain in front of each of you, right? Mm-hmm. So as you're going into this, you're going to meet in this park. You said Talleyrand, which is a local park. Mm-hmm. Beautiful park.
It is.
Very romantic. Except for all the duck poop. But, so you asked him if he would meet you at a park.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I even had second guess like feelings on my way there, thinking, what else could I say I'm meeting him here for? If I don't have the nerve to actually share this, this is actually still going through my mind. But when we get there, I said, I just blurted it right out. I'm like, I have you here, and I know you're going to think I am absolutely crazy. But God gave me this song, played it for me, and he said, I'm supposed to play it for you. That's all I said. And he was like, okay. So I played the song. And he's sitting there listening pretty intently. And then all of a sudden he just starts crying, like weeping, crying. And I was like, I don't know exactly what's going on. He either feels really sad for me or like something's really moving in here. So he listened to the whole song. And then he shared with me what was going on in his mind.
Yeah. So during that song, and I encourage listeners to listen to that song or read the lyrics at least. Mm-hmm. The moments, it's as though like God let me, like I knew who I needed to turn to. And the song was like our life in lyrics. And I had the most intimate encounter with Jesus that I've ever had. And I could audibly hear him say, like, you can give me the mess, or you can keep doing what you're doing. And at that moment, I felt like if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm dead. I'm a dead man walking. And I knew I had to give it to him. And by his grace, I think he let me feel all the regret and shame, all the hurt that I was going to carry if I chose to not give it to him. And that's what broke me.
Mm.
And it was just visually, it just felt like my heart just broke, and Jesus caught the pieces and restored, and held them. I felt very held in that moment because I felt like I was collapsing. We spend so much energy as addicts to hold up the building of lies that we have around us. And you've made some great songs, addressing that. But to let that go and just to let it crumble is a relief. And it was freeing. But the emotion of it, just letting Jesus catch me was such a relief, of years of living what I thought is what I wanted, but just ended up being empty bottles and just empty life and not seeing a way out, not seeing hope on the other side of it, so.
There's a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Empty bottles.
Yeah. There you
There
go.
you go.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a good concept.
I like
right?
it.
Yours empty
Can
as
you
the
read-
empty bottles.
No. I mean, like if you're contrasting, like that's the hook line. Like I was trying to fill
Nothing but empty
fill my cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trying to fill myself, but always left with was empty bottles.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Uh-huh.
If you could
Yeah.
flip it somehow, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
good.
like it.
There you go.
It's true.
So like you're there, like you're having this moment.
Oh yeah, we just
Shelley doesn't know what's going on.
I don't know. I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, like all this stuff is going on with him, and I can see all this emotion on his face, and he's just crying and like wailing, and I'm just like, okay, waiting over here to.
I never expected an
what's going
opportunity. The thought was, if an opportunity comes, would I want to get back together? And at that moment was yes. And here God is giving me this wonderful woman who is still willing after 3.5 years of separation and all the pain and hurt I put her through. God transformed her heart to be still wanting to be engaged in a relationship with me. And I'm like, wow,
Because that's a huge gift.
Yeah. Only God can do that.
Only God could do that with me too. People would say that too, and I'm like, it's a God thing.
So he's presenting this all to me. And it was a cry of relief of like, I can let this go. Like I don't have to live this way anymore. He's bringing this woman back into my life that loves me unconditionally. I'm like, it was just it was an amazing. It was crying of relief, of sadness, but also of joy, all at the same time. It was a real, a flood of emotion for sure. And we sat there for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And just
hugged actually for like at least an hour.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
we didn't even talk much. It was just like, it was almost like we were talking, but we weren't talking. Mm-hmm. I can't even explain it, but it felt like that's
gift.
where we needed to be.
It was a gift.
Yeah, you could tell it was a gift from God.
Yeah, he had done something
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
big, and you both knew it without saying.
Yeah, this was beyond us.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was God's grace and his healing.
Mm-hmm.
That he offers. And we were at that moment, we were both willing to let him.
Yeah.
And when you get two people that are willing to let him be in that space,
Yeah.
I mean, he designed it.
Takes, right.
You
And
wonder.
he knew that was the perfect timing where we would both be in that space, and be able to be open to all of that.
For sure.
You wonder if that would have happened without Kendra praying every night.
Mm,
I do wonder
Yeah.
that too.
I
'Cause
mean,
it was
yeah,
a continual thing.
just like simple prayer of
He
a
had so
child.
much faith.
Yes.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And God listens to children's prayers.
Yes.
100%. Like, I know
Yes.
he listens to everybody's, but
But
he
just
has
like
such
for
a
the reason
soft
you
spot
said,
for children.
no baggage.
Right.
Just like, oh, he's big and powerful. He can do it.
Yeah.
Right. It's Abba. It's daddy.
Daddy.
It's daddy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Not walk the line or be smitten.
Yeah.
It's
kind of
funny, like
perception.
Thank God he's not like that.
I feel like you're like as we go through life, the layers of the onion they just add on, and I feel like it's like you remember the film Benjamin Button. Have you ever seen that?
I do.
He ages in reverse,
Okay.
and I feel like the maturity of faith is like it's like being like Benjamin Button. It's like God's gonna take you backwards because the highest state of like relationship with Him is to be like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
My dad's gonna take care of me. He
For
said he
sure.
can do it. He can do it. My dad can do it. Everything.
Such
believe
a
it.
good
Yeah.
analogy.
We get older and we're like, we're 12. Like my dad can't do everything.
Right.
Yeah.
We're already there.
Right.
Yeah.
Got a bad back.
Yeah.
There's a song in that, isn't there?
Dad's got a bad back.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an Alan Jackson song for sure. But like aging in reverse, something taking me back.
Sure. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
So
I'll let you write that one.
Take
All
me
right.
back
Yeah,
to
just-
when you were.
just-
Complicated concept.
Speak a little bit about dads. My father,
Oh,
when
yeah.
we separated, immediately called Shelley. My dad had a coming back to the Lord moment. He was in Florida, driving a truck, and he went to change lanes, and he didn't see a car, and he clipped the back of it, and the car hit the front of his truck, and he was pushing the car down the road. And he looked up over his dash and saw the woman driving the car and looking up at him, completely terrified, as you could expect. And he recalls seeing what he described as an angel sitting in the passenger seat of her car. And he stops. Everybody gets to be okay, but that was his shock moment to get his heart back to God, and he did that. So as soon as we separated and he found out, he called Shelley and started praying with her.
And it was devastating to him because it was like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like he blamed himself somewhat. He was like, because of the things that I did. So he had a little bit of a moment like that because he was shocked, that Kenny did do that. But he was just such a prayer warrior for Kenny and for me, and just would check up on me quite frequently, just call and just ask how things are going. And he encouraged me during the time where I was supposed to just give you over to keep doing that, because he said, I do it too. Because there's only so much you can pray, and it's in the Lord's hands. And he reminded me that's the best place, so just keep doing that. So.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and Dad always had a heart
Supporting.
for addicts.
Yep.
Really.
Yep.
He early in his ministry before he became a pastor was running a mission in Allentown for
Oh wow.
for alcoholics and
Wow.
and homeless.
That's crazy.
I know, right? And even in his later years, he was doing a jail ministry down in Berwick. He would go into the prison
It's crazy.
and lead Bible study, and So I was, God gave me that restoration with him too, that relationship.
Yeah.
So, from 2013, he passed in 18. So we had 5 years that we got to mend that relationship and hang out and talk about Jesus and, biblical things, which I wasn't engaging with him at all before because I didn't want to talk about those things. But
It's crazy that he did all at once.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your, I mean, obviously you you have this moment, but there's a journey back.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because like there's the drinking, then there's like trust issues, which I know. Like I violated trust with my wife.
Yeah.
So like I understand it's a journey back.
Yes.
So like how do you get sober, and how does your relationship begin to rebuild?
God, so 2013, we have this moment, and then I come to CCC, and they have a Celebrate Recovery group. And the first time I walk into a meeting, I remember pushing the door open, and I was like, God, this has to work. I can't stop. I can't stop drinking. And he, by his grace, he gave me the perception of life and death, black and white. This is alcohol for me is poison, and it's like I didn't have the craving for it because I had experienced so much negative from it, and God amplified the negativity of it that it was almost repulsive to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it took me a while. I didn't want to be around it. I couldn't be in restaurants that served it. I didn't partake. And, to this day, I have not, taken any. Yeah.
Not even
Because I know where my stumbling block is the first sip. It's not, stop after 2, because 2 isn't 2, it's 12.
So there's
God gave me that revelation.
There's a blessing in that.
On.
There's a blessing when God like allows your choices, like the consequences, to really go in deep. In because like for a long time when I was using, I was using because it was fun. It was the better option. But then the pain. With enough pain and suffering, I began to realize it was not the better option. Through several things. Like there was alcohol and drug addiction, but there was a pornography addiction. It was like how I feel and what this does to me is not better than like what I get from it. And that's a blessing, man.
Yeah.
Like it's one blessing that comes from consequences. Like no one wants consequences, right?
Sure.
But like,
that's why we try to escape them.
Yeah,
constantly.
Yeah, but it can be a blessing when the Lord keeps it like very 3-dimensional. Like you can see.
And I prayed that early on. I didn't want to forget. I wanted to remember the sting.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to do addictive personality. I know what my potential is if I'm not sharp with the recovery side of things.
And it's helpful for me to be around other people who are going through it. Like they say, keeping it green.
Yes.
Like to see that like the reality of choices is still happening.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't want that to happen in someone else's life. Right. But even as you're helping someone, like I get reminded, I'm like, I could go back there.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like.
Yeah.
It's not like
you still have that free will, any given moment. You can make that decision.
Yeah.
And
it's not going to be better.
No.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So what was so how long ago was that? How long have you been sober?
August
11th, 2013.
2013.
Yeah. So 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
And then have you guys been back together for 13 years?
Well, we dated for the first 9 months after that bench.
Oh, wow.
Hugging and talking.
Fell in love again.
I was like, we're not, he didn't come back to the house. Like we were dating because I wanted to make sure it was a real thing. And especially for Kendra, I did not want her to get hurt because there's an issue that happened with his dad where his dad came back to his mom for a brief blip of time. Right. And it was devastating to him when he left again. So I was like, we need to make sure this is going to be okay. And we worked on our marriage. We did a marriage devotional every night. I have to say, what's that devotional? It's the 7 love languages.
The 5 love languages devotional Bible.
Yes, that's it. Oh my gosh, it's so good. I highly recommend that to anybody that needs to have license to share and talk openly because it gives you like a verse to read, it gives you a message, and then it gives you questions to ask one another and answer. And it's so good because at that time we needed to be able to
marriages,
feel
right?
Yes.
Yes. be able to feel open and real, like we could share how we felt about things. So it was really good. We did that every
What's it
night.
called?
The 5 Love Languages
Devotional
Bible. It's really good.
So maybe we'll link it below
Yeah, it's
so
really
that people
good.
can get it. So you guys went through like a 9-month period of
We did
Yeah.
of dating and just
And like you
came
said,
to church every we're going to church together,
Mhm.
doing those things and still doing our family time together and everything. But
and I'm going through a step study, during that 9
Right.
months period.
at the church I had been going to, which is Christ Community, because I left his dad's church where his sister went because a friend of ours asked us to come. Like Kendra was spending the night at a friend's house, and they said, "Is it okay if she goes to church with us?" And I said, "Well, where is it?" And they said, "Christ Community." And I said, "Sure, I guess that's okay. I'll pick her up there." And they said, "No, why don't you come too? Just meet us there, and because you have to get her anyway." So I did, and it was like Pastor Mitch had opened my mail. You know how people say that?
Mhm.
The very first message was like, wow, I really need to be here at this church. And they had a great youth program. So, and
You got to
Kendra had the
experience,
best time.
Jimmy Storm.
And I got to
Jimmy
experience
Storm.
Jimmy Storm.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Okay, so I
Jesus.
was not used to Jimmy at that time. So it was a little bit like, wow, okay, this is a zealous
He's
church.
going to be on the podcast.
Awesome.
Oh, awesome.
So we can make fun of his
Awesome.
Okay,
That's
all
cool.
And I'll just tell him.
Yeah,
Yes.
he'll be all right
So-
with
Not
it.
gossip.
Yes, and it's awesome because he's so just so overzealous for Jesus. Not over in a bad way,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
for Jesus and
He
his
hasn't lost it.
relationship.
He hasn't lost it.
No, he's awesome. But anyway, so they invited me to the church, and then we've been going there ever since. So, and it happened to be that we were moved to this church, by that happenstance, which is all God, and then it happens to have a Celebrate Recovery
Right.
that he needed when he was ready, to come back. So God works out all that good
Putting you where he wanted you.
So the first
Right.
meeting I go to, push the door open, say that kind of, got it, this has to work. I need this to work. And I remember we used to meet back in the daycare. And on the floor was this carpet that had these stuffed animal images, and there's a bear that's raising its hand, like you're asking a question. And I remember, Alan was sharing a lesson or whatever, talking about, are you struggling with denial? And I look it down and I'm like, I don't want to engage. I'm first time in a meeting. I don't know how this works. I mean, I want to be here, but I got to open up about this
Scared to
stuff.
death.
I got to say alcoholic, I'm like, I've never said that. I've never heard myself say that before. And I'm looking at this bear, and every time, the leader would say, you're struggling with denial. I'm looking at the bear. He's got his hand up. And I'm like, yeah, I'm with you, buddy. I called him the denial bear.
Coping bear.
It should be like a little stuffed animal, the denial bear.
Yeah.
So that was my, I still remember that very much. So just looking down at this stuffed animal, thinking, yeah, I should be raising my hand. That's everything he's talking about. That's me. That's why I'm here. That's why God has brought me here. So it really found honesty and people who I could relate to struggling with similar things, which is very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
To try to do that, because I did a lot of trying on my own, and I was not good at it. I was not good at managing my life. I needed a group of people who could understand and I could talk to about certain things. And, all my friend groups prior to that were engaged in the same lifestyle that I was in. And that's what's interesting about recovery is it's not, the alcohol brought me to the door, but who was I without it? I couldn't tell you because I didn't know that guy for, the previous 27 years of my life. So I had to figure it out, let God restore the identity that he purposed for my life and not the identity that I was masking or drowning or not wanting to see, however you want to put it. So that was really the journey, who am I? How do I live without this thing in my life that's been part of it for so long? And that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. And it takes time.
Yeah, I think when I hear you say that, I totally relate. It's like with like addiction or alcoholism or whatever, it's like at first there are things that we do, but then eventually we do them long enough, we become the things that we do.
Sure.
You know, like you said, our identity. It's like you don't even know. I didn't even know who I was.
Right.
And like can't imagine my life without this thing. It's like
Right.
trying to figure who am I, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
So what was harder? Was surrendering to Jesus, getting sober, or rebuilding trust with your wife? What do you think was the hardest thing?
The hardest thing through that process, going through the steps when I got to the amends part lesson, was I have to go have a conversation with my in-laws because I had betrayed their trust, when I betrayed her trust. And they were honest. They were like, "Hey, we hear you, but this is going to take some time." And I understood. I pretty early on understood that this is going to take transparency and a lot of slow progression in the same direction kind of thing. But the amends part, that was like something I never want to do again.
Yeah.
I never want to. And they were very gracious, but they were very honest and saying, "This is going to take some time. We can't just say everything's good now. It's going to take some time." And with our relationship, we understood that was going to take that rebuilding of the trust and being honest and being transparent of where you are and what you're doing and when you're going to be, and then be where you say you're going to be.
Trust is slow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I had to pray about it quite a bit because I was like, God, you brought me here, and I listened to you and I'm here, but like, I need you to give me the strength to be able to do this because there's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of water under that bridge. And so much so that I think some people think they can't get over that, but you can if Jesus is the one that's taking you over that. So I had to keep pressing into that, and just asking him for the strength and to help be in the middle. And we prayed every night together as a couple. So we took it like super serious, trying to give everything to God. But in all reality, too, I had to put some boundaries up because I have to say, when he started to go to CR, I went too because I was like, I want to know what's going on in here. Not because I need CR, I do. Just because, I just want to see what's going on. So I would go and just to see, what the steps are and all that stuff. And then the more I started hearing the ladies in the circle, I'm like, I am codependent. I am truly, I have some control stuff. And I started, I'm like, this is me. Like, I could probably go through a step study. And the longer I did it, and then I realized I had a lot of hurt that even though God helped get me to where I was and was giving me the strength to be able to do the things that I did, there was still a lot to unpack and deal with. So I ended up going through a step study, and now I lead them now. So I've led how many step studies now? I can't even.
Well, this is the
7
crazy part of your story is that now Ken and Shelley are running the Celebrate Recovery
Yes.
Ministry.
I mean, if you would have ever said that Kenny would be running the Celebrate Recovery in our area, I would have laughed at you before all of this happened.
Think about it from like both sides, though.
So ironic. It's full circle.
It's full
When
circle.
he said full circle, it was totally,
And that God would restore your marriage to the place where you guys have something to minister out of. I mean, think of the depth. Think of what you've gone through and how that connects with other people. Like, because there are people listening to this now that like their marriage is blown up, or I don't know, maybe they're married to an alcoholic or an addict, or And I think the powerful thing about your story is that like, well, I mean, Jesus is able, but healing is, and he gives us choices.
Yes, that's the thing.
He gives us choices, and the one thing I want to ask you, Ken, was so like you were talking about making amends. So like after the 9th step in like the AA literature, that's where the promises are.
Right.
It's like, we will know a new peace. We will begin to, all these things that happen. Did you notice some sort of like spiritual, and the reason I bring this up, if you're watching, so CR is Celebrate Recovery. That's the largest Christian recovery organization in the country. Started out Saddleback Church, 30,000 locations across the country. So it's like AA. So that is it's very Christian, but it's all based off of principles and steps that came from AA, which the full circle thing is AA started as a Bible study. So like, all of the steps, all of the principles, the 8 steps of CR, right? 8?
No, there's 12.
Oh, there's 12?
Yeah,
steps
the
and
12
8
steps.
8 principles, yeah. So all of that it comes from the Bible.
Yeah.
And I think the powerful thing with AA is that, even though a lot of that has been separated from the idea of Jesus and God, you don't even have to acknowledge him, but if you do what he says, you're going to see it work.
Right.
Yeah.
And you might miss who Jesus is, which is the ultimate thing, but
Sure.
But like, so did you notice, like, did you start to notice like was it like something sudden that you noticed, like a spiritual awakening beginning to happen? Or was it like a gradual
It was
thing?
progressive.
Okay.
It was a progressive thing.
Okay.
And that's what, the gift now that I get to see is so many times when we go through recovery programs, you don't see the change. You don't feel the change. You're kind of feeling like, is this really working? But when you're out, you're a third party and you're looking, and you're like, you know what? You're not the same person that walked in here a month ago or 3 months ago. God's doing something in you, and you might not be able to see it, but I can see it. And I get to have that. That's a gift that God's given me, being part of a recovery group. I get to see the progress other people are making, because I felt like that too. I felt like, is this going? Am I doing it? Am I recovering? What is this supposed to feel like? And you don't necessarily know, but you do one day at a time and one moment at a time, and the next thing you know, you look back and you're like,
A bunch of moments.
hey, I'm not where I was. And
Can you talk about the difference between sobriety and recovery? Because you like alluded to that, like there's a period there. I was state. It was you were sober, it's state stuff. But you talk about the difference between recovery and sobriety, or not? No, being sober,
right,
white knuckling,
right,
and recovery. What's that? What's the difference?
The difference. Recovery is healing.
Yes.
From the thing, whatever it is, that is creating chaos in your life. I think of being sober as the momentary glimpses of control that don't last.
Yeah.
You
can be a dry drunk.
You can, and there's no peace.
Right.
There's no freedom because you're still under control of that thing. You're just call it willpower, or
and a lot of times our addictions move sideways. Like if we just like white knuckle this thing,
it'll manifest.
Yeah, because we
else.
haven't dealt with the deeper
the core.
Yeah,
the core wasn't. I didn't have a problem drinking.
Right. It's not a drinking problem.
It's not, my problem was why.
Yeah.
Why was I drinking? And that's what I didn't want to face.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were great at drinking.
I was great. I had no problem with that at all. I was not a quitter.
Yeah. I'm not a quitter.
That's right.
But yeah, they say, it's not a drinking problem, it's a thinking problem. It's the slogan, but it's like, it's even more than that.
Yeah.
It's like a
deep
wounding, like.
Yeah.
What happened in your life that kind of drove you to use that thing to mask that hurt?
And when you have, the clarity of mind, it's a difficult space to be exposed, or to purposely expose those things and it always comes from your past somewhere far in your past.
You feel naked.
Yeah. You feel vulnerable.
Feel scared,
fear. But when the pain of your addiction is greater than the fear of exposing those things, that's when recovery takes place.
That's good.
That's
it, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been married?
30.
Oh,
we just had our 32nd, right? May 14th. I'm trying to do the math in my head.
Well, there's a story we kind of jumped over. 2012. I had filed for divorce a year prior 2011. 2012 came, and
It was the year we were going to get back, 2013.
okay,
Yeah.
right,
They should have sent him
a notification like I had to do something. The court was supposed to notify me that I had to do something
At
with
that
this
point,
filing
that's how it
because
works.
it
To
wasn't
make your divorce.
to make it
Yes.
final.
Either do
Right.
something or not,
Right.
kind of thing.
Well,
They didn't send it.
I never got notified. This was spring of 2013.
They never got divorced.
Yeah.
They're married the whole time.
Yeah,
We were married the whole time.
Isn't
Yeah.
that prophetic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only did I not get notified, found out later that the
They just
file
didn't have it.
disappeared. Like they didn't even the courthouse completely has no record of me filing the paperwork to begin with.
It's actually the first time I've heard the incompetency of bureaucracy. I'm using a
Yeah.
lot of words here. Be a good thing. It's like they lost.
But if he
But-
would have gotten it then,
Yeah, because I
we would
wasn't.
It was a
have
miracle.
probably
It was
been
a miracle.
That was a miracle.
It was a miracle.
Yep. That was in the middle of my state sponsored I am the master of the universe sobriety. And I was not in a, I would have been like, yeah, let's just get this over with.
That's-
But God, used
God.
his whiteout and no pages
Right.
found. So
That's incredible.
yeah.
It should have been March of that year. I
Yeah.
believe it would have been. Yeah.
So, okay. So I guess there's two ways to ask this question. I guess I'll have each of you guys kind of like throw your spin on it because you have a very different perspective. So, what would you say to the person who feels like they've gone too far? They've hurt too many people. They've ruined too much to ever be restored, which is like going back to that thing. We begin to believe like this is it forever. What would you say to them? Like, maybe that alcoholic or or maybe someone's lost their marriage or lost whatever. What would you say?
You can't, but God can.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're willing to let him, he will.
Mm.
And he's waiting for you to let him. He's not afraid of the mess. That brings him glory to get in your mess. Yeah, because he loves to do that. He loves us to do, that with. And like, I always say this is God's story, but we still have to leave him the pen. We have to give him the pen to write it. We can try to write our own, but my penmanship isn't good.
It's not good. Yeah, I'm really bad at writing my story.
But yeah, for the person that thinks that this is it, there's no way out, you're wrong. You just have to be willing to take Jesus at his word. It's interesting. I grew up in the church, knew all kind of Bible verses. It wasn't until I got into recovery where I started recognizing, wow, this is a book of instructions. These aren't just good platitudes or fortune cookie sayings. This is like, oh, if I live like this, God has promises that he'll take care of me and he'll set me free. And my life verse is Acts 2:28. You have shown me the way of life, and you will fill me with the joy of your presence. And I tried to live life on my own without any joy for so long. And I came across that verse. I'm like, God, thank you. Because you've shown me how to live, and you've given me a joy that I was searching for through all kind of avenues for a long time that I never had that true joy and peace in my heart.
How old were you when you got sober?
2043.
43.
Yeah.
That's good because someone, I know the tape runs in people's minds. Like
Yeah.
I'm too far down the road.
Yeah. Mm.
But look what God can do.
Yeah.
That's right.
Look what He's done in your marriage. Now you're ministering to other recovering people. You're running the recovery ministry that saved your life.
Yes.
And so, what would you say to I hear your side of the story, and there's so many different things. And I want to caveat this. Like, if you're out there and you are married to a drug addict or you're married to an alcoholic, what I'm not trying to say here is that you should stay in that situation, especially if there's harm to you or if you have a child, because alcoholics and addicts are like tornadoes going through the lives of their family. You may have to separate and you may have to put separation. But in your situation, like you held on to the promise of God, right? But you felt hopeless, and you got to the point where you had to totally all of Kenny's drinking, and trying to control
Give it over.
the person who's in that. Whether that could be a guy, it could be a lady, but I think you could really speak to a woman. It is really going to connect with you. If you could say anything, what would you say?
Well, I have to say that God gave me a verse early on in our separation, and it was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. And I had to live that because I doubted stuff all the time. And there's so many different times where I would just kind of go off the path that God wanted for me. And I'd be like, oh, you're not doing things in the time I want. And when I was a new Christian, I was kind of living my legs like a foot in the world and my relationship with him. So I had to keep coming back to that. But mostly that verse helped me with the reality of everything, because I'm like, I don't see anything, but I'm trusting in the Lord, not me. And I'm not leaning on my own understanding. I'm acknowledging him in everything and saying, you make the path straight. You do it. So for anybody going through this, I would tell you to listen to that as your advice, because just like you said, I wouldn't tell someone if they're in a terrible space where they're being abused or hurt or children are, or, to stay. But God, he can save every person if they would just give it all over to him. And so there can be that moment where that person that you love gives it all over to God and you give it all over to God. And when you both give it all over to God, he can bring you together and make that, do the miracle that people are looking for and hoping for, but they don't think is possible, because it's not possible in your own mind and you're in your own strength. Because I can't tell you how many times people said that to me. They were just like, how can you? That's just crazy, And I'd be like, yeah, to the world, that's crazy, but not with God.
You had
God
supernatural faith.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he gave it to me.
It was supernatural.
Yeah. Yeah. To be able to believe
he's
that
supernatural.
he is supernatural.
So like his faith was in you.
Yeah.
That's the only
I would have to
logical
say.
thing, right? Because you held on
I did.
and you kept
like
believing.
I said, I had moments, obviously,
Yeah.
where I, kind of went off my path that I
and then you
should've
got
been
to a
on.
point where you had to turn it over.
I did.
And then it was really going to be a
Then
miracle.
it was go time.
Because you weren't making it happen.
Right.
It's like you were believing. That speaks to me in my life. I mean, that speaks to me right now where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says that faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. And a lot of times we like to say that that's scripture, but it's actually talking about the spoken word of God, which reminds me of like in the beginning of your separation, you heard the voice of God say, full circle.
Right.
And he spoke that faith into you, and that carried you through this whole process.
Really. That's it.
That's good.
It's really
Yeah,
good.
and it's really encouraging for me to hear that you were a new believer through all of this. You were kind of familiar with church and you were brand new in your faith, and God made you like a beacon of hope. And I think a lot of times we're like, oh, I don't have the history for it, or like, there's no way God could use me in this way because I don't know enough scripture. Or I haven't spent enough time with I, and it's really not about you, but it's about what God can do if you just let him.
Yeah.
And that's what I see in your guys' story so much of just, it was all just God shaping it again and again and again in a way that you guys never could have predicted. And you spent so much of your marriage just white knuckling it. And I was just thinking, like, when you guys were at the gazebo, and that was probably the first time that you got to hold your husband, that you didn't feel like you had to white knuckle your relationship.
Yeah, that part of it, 100%. It was just like, it was like a release. I can't even explain it. Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's really good.
So you had, in the end, God gave you back something I think maybe we pray, God, give me back, like the same thing.
Right.
But he gave you back something
That's
that you
good.
never had
Right.
and you never could have had.
Right. And I don't want a relationship without it. So yeah, it's amazing.
Definitely a song in that.
Yeah.
You don't want version 2.0 of
Right. Of the
Kenny.
same thing.
It had to be a new creation.
Mm-hmm.
A whole new,
Both of us.
But even beyond you,
Yeah.
what he did in Shelley, that freedom that you had, that you didn't have to white knuckle the relationship anymore.
Yeah. That I didn't have to be the one in control trying to figure out how to help you.
Yeah.
You know, that God was in it and I could give it over to him. And I will circle back, you know, that best friend I had growing up and her mother who exposed me to God, she was one of the first people that I reached out to as well for prayer. Because I hadn't seen
One
her
of the seed planters.
in forever. Yeah. And I was like, I need to come over and talk. And she was, we would talk for hours and she would pray and pray with me. And I was just so grateful that I felt like I could just go back into her life like that. And I don't see her like I'd like to. I took Kenny to meet her and see her after we got back together again, because she was so happy because she knew the whole story. You know, she knew all the stuff along the way and had prayed a lot for him and for us. So it was
That's awesome.
pretty cool. Yeah. And we renewed our vows, even though we did not get divorced. When we started dating, August 11, 2013, our wedding, our anniversary, our 20-year anniversary would have been May 14th of the next year. And so we renewed our vows at Christ Community Church. Dina did it with us. Yeah. And our
We had
daughter,
communion with Kendra
and my daughter was
together.
my bridesmaid. And and so we did communion together. It was a really special moment.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God is
It's
good.
God is
So
good.
good.
So good.
Well, I'm so grateful that you and your ex are here tonight. Ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. Now, wife.
Yeah. No, oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Of course.
You know,
Grateful.
Before we close, could one of you say a prayer for anybody that's listening? Just whatever you feel led. God would meet them where they're at, and whatever you feel led.
Okay. Can we both?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. All right. Father God, we just thank you that you're not afraid of our messes, that you are the God that heals and restores, and that gets down in the dirt with us when we feel broken and discarded. You are the God that lifts us up because you choose to, because you love us and you care about every detail of what goes on in our lives. And you want to restore that relationship right now with people listening. Lord, I pray that they have divine encounters, that this podcast encouraged somebody to just turn to you and say, God, I can't. I have to believe that you can, and I'm asking you to do it. And we look forward to hearing the testimonies that come from sharing your story. You are good, and you love to bring restoration and healing in people's lives. And we just pray for that, those breakthroughs right now, in Jesus' name. Thank you. Amen.
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 Amen. Well, thank you guys for watching. Just a reminder, Story Tour 2.0 coming to 23 cities this fall. www.thestorytour. That Connor's in there, and he dropped his keys. I think we'll keep it in there. It's good. It's good. All right. www.thestorytour.org. Shout out to Connor, who's out there, and Aaron, who's out there making this thing possible, doing the tech stuff. So anyway, God bless you guys, and we'll see you soon. You're listening to the Story Tour podcast.